Alright, this should be recording. This isn't gonna be a Rumble exclusive video. I'm gonna post this video on both Rumble and YouTube, so both of you guys can enjoy it. I just made like a lot of videos for Rumble actually. I was tweaking the physics on all of the thicker female characters, well, Storm, Rogue, etc. They now have jiggle physics in their legs. It looks full. So sexy. But I specifically put it on Rumble because I transferred over to Rumble, and I'm gonna make that site popping. I'm just gonna post all my favorite projects on Rumble, and I'm gonna make people migrate to it. That's for the people who are like true fans. Okay, master volume. I'm gonna turn the volume up here. Freak 75. Background music. Turn this music down. Put it about 15. I actually put it about 5. Really sounds. Okay, that should be fine. Escape. Okay, so the purpose of this video. Now, needless to say, I've been on my own pretty much overhauling Marvel versus Capcom 2 to just make it better, man. This is like at the point that I'm at now, this isn't Marvel vs. Capcom 2 anymore. This is like a sequel to it. And you'll get what I'm saying as I go through this. But I'm gonna try to go through my roster and cover the characters that I recently tweaked. And the tweaks that I made they're pretty staggering. For starters, I'm gonna do a comparison video of let's do Ryu and Akuma. This is just an example of one of the crazy tweaks that I've integrated. Oh, also I have a filter. The filter pretty much removes any pixelation in the game. I play this on 4K, so I need the resolution at its highest. But this is what the filter looks like. It just cleans everything up. It changes up the colors and stuff. I have different versions of this filter too. I have like a default filter, which is this. As you can see, it simply just cleans up the pixelation and makes everything line work, but it still preserves the bright popping colors. But for the purists out there, I'll leave the filter off. So for Ryu here, Ryu has had the works, man. He's got physics induced on all of his sprites. He's got new animations. He's got a freaking blinking animation added to his eyes because he's a living creature, for God's sakes, developers. Just like simple, minute tweaks that all, when amalgamated, they add up to an insane looking character now. He's almost akin to Street Fighter Third Strike. As you can see, there's what it looks like. I fully animated his crouch, and this applies to every character in the vanilla roster. If a character in the vanilla roster does not have an animated crouch, and that's roughly 90% of the characters in the game, I just tweaked them and I made them animated when they crouch. And this is the end result. So insane, man. But spiel aside, the tweaks that I've made recently. Well, for these two Shoto characters, I noticed there was an invert for them. Akuma by no shakes by any means is Akuma a weak Shoto. Akuma is considered the most powerful Shoto to ever exist, only because Akuma trains and fights alone. He's a freaking legend, dude. He was introduced in Tekken 7, for God's sakes, as this godlike character, which he is, to stop Heihachi, bro, and of course Kazuya among other people because they have the thing called the Devil Gene. I'm not gonna get too nerdy, but just know Akuma is like god tier powerful, man. And what they did to my boy in MVC2 was awful. They made him essentially what's called a glass cannon. Akuma in MVC2, he had low defense. Like when you hit him, you would break him, dude. And that makes no sense because Akuma was built to mangle his opponent. So I tweaked that. Now he no longer has extremely low defense. Alchemo is scary in a fight, dude. Among other things that I tweaked, I also tweaked, of course, he has a whole suite of physics, as you can see here, induced on everything from his ponytail to his clothing. He looks insanely fluid. He's got a new blinking animation, blah, blah, blah. So the difference between these two Shotos, comparison wise. So originally in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, all of the characters had insanely powerful attacks. A lot of the attacks made no sense. The most jarring for me was probably Ryu. Ryu's fireball was way too big. As you can see here, I tweaked this fireball. Now he has his same old cliche fireball that he has in every Street Fighter game. When you play with this Ryu now, you feel like you're playing with Ryu. And that's really the end goal I wanted. I wanted to feel like I'm actually playing with freaking Ryu from Street Fighter. And I think I succeeded swimmingly. I tweaked a plethora of other things in regards to all of his attacks and his animations and stuff. I could cover all of those things, but I simply just added veil sets to a lot of his attacks so he's not stubby. And the same applies to Akuma. So the difference between Ryu and Akuma. Well, I just pointed out the fireball for a reason. We're gonna context here. What does Akuma's fireball look like now? Because you know I tweaked it. Well, in the default game, these fireballs that Ryu throws now, these smaller ones, Akuma threw them in the default game. It was insanity. It was like they were on this mission to make my boy look weak. So the tweak I made to Akuma, uh-oh, wrong one. That was pretty awesome though. Okay, make sure I got the right button here. Boom. Look at this fireball. Tweak this fireball, man. Akuma now has monstrous looking fireballs, as he should. He's freaking Akuma, dude. So Ryu's fireball, Akuma's fireball. Staggering difference, dude. Staggering. I'm controlling both of these characters with the same controller, by the way. It's very difficult. But as you can see, there's no comparison now. Now Akuma is the powerful Shoto that he should be. I went in and I tweaked a lot of the links for Akuma's combinations too. Akuma is basically a combination of Ken and Ryu together, skill wise. Akuma could throw together some pretty horrifying combos, dude. Among other things, Akuma can shake the screen. Again, he's God tier in strength. He has to have moves that are horrifying. Let's see if I got it mapped. Oh no, I don't have it mapped to the button. No. Oh no. I don't have it mapped to the controller. I'll back out. I have to show this. So Akuma has god level strength, man. Akuma should be able to shake the screen with majority of his well with when he wants to shake the screen, he should be able to shake the screen. And I think the best thing to show intimidation or the best time to show off how god tier Akuma's strength is during a taunt. That's his taunt button now. He shakes the screen when he stomps. It is so beautiful, dude. It's so dope. And he does that before all of his hypers, which by the way, I'm about to do his hyper beam Hadouken and I modified it. I made it bigger because again, this is Akuma. Akuma's supposed to wreck your face. Look at that. It has a screen shake for the beginning stance starting off the hyper, and I also made the beam much larger. So beautiful, dude. Just so beautiful. I'm gushing right now. I don't expect any of you to bandwagon. I don't expect majority of you guys to follow, especially on YouTube, because you guys are terrible at support. But trust me, I'm gonna get this done without you. And as you can see, the fruits of my labor is paying off. Don't try to collect my hard work when I'm done. You better show love and support right now while I'm allowing you guys to. Seriously. But those are the differences between just Ryu and Akuma, man. This is just two characters, and look at all the work I've gotten done, man. It's pretty scary. I'm gonna show another comparison here, just because this is the another Shoto who's in the game. Actually, let's do a comparison between him and I know Dan is a default. There's Dan and Dan. So I just showed the fireballs for Ryu and Aqua. Well, what could I possibly have done to Ken? First of all, I tweaked the links for majority of his kick animations, so now he does combos that are specifically he's a little more complex with his kicking, basically. Another thing that I tweaked with him is he was also wildly powerful. He made no sense. Ken's shtick when he throws a Hadouken is his Hadouken can go maybe halfway across the screen and then it disappears, which makes sense because in the shows, pretty much any Street Fighter related material, Ken never mastered the Hadouken. The Hadouken is more Ryu's thing. Ryu was more focused on that because of well his master and because of another tie that he has, the Akuma, which I'm not gonna go too into the weeds about because there's a lot of speculation. But just know Ryu is the character who shoots Hadoukens, and Ken is a character that will he will kick you to sleep. So what did I do to his Hadouken? Change the size. You can't have a bigger Hadouken than Ryu if Ryu's the Hadouken guy. As you can see here, it's the same old length that it was by default. It stops about halfway across the screen. Depending on the version you do, it actually goes shorter. As you can see there, it actually goes a shorter distance. And it makes sense for Ken. But that's all I did. I just shrunk down his Hadouken because it was kind of ridiculous. That's the end result. Now you feel like you're actually playing with Ken. And another thing I love about Ken is the way his Hadouken looks. I actually like that. His Hadouken is actually more akin to the Hadouken that Sakura throws in his game. And if you don't know, Sakura's not really good at shooting Hadoukens. She's like worse than well, I'm not gonna go that far. Dan's the worst at shooting the Dukins. So you remember the thing I said about Velsets? I tweaked the speed for all of the Shoto characters, and I gave them a little slide with majority of their attacks, as you see here, so they're not stubby anymore. Well, if you look at Dan over here, Dan has none of those tweaks. Dan is still the same old garbage character that he's always been. I literally didn't tweak anything with Dan attack wise. I also didn't mess around with his Hadouken. He has the same terrible looking Hadouken that he's always had. Because Dan is a bad. He's supposed to be a terrible Shoto, and I'm making that clear by just leaving him as default. While my other Shotos have these amazing tweaks that pretty much bumps him up in the top tier characters, and I just think that makes sense. That's pretty much it. Dan is a goofy character. If someone picks Dan in my MVC2 and they beat you with this Dan, they really hate you, dude. Seriously, they're trolling you. They just don't like you. They're trying to embarrass you. So that's just my Shotos, man. What's some other tweaks? There's so many tweaks, dude. I went through the entire roster. I added breast physics, thigh physics, butt physics, hair physics, blinking animations to the organic characters. I extended a lot of the animations. I tweaked the attack and defense for majority of the trash tier characters. Dude, it's so much here, man. Another thing that I could show is a comparison between the infamous two, well, the Wolverines. If you don't know, MVC2 is infamous for having two Wolverines in the default roster, which is kind of ridiculous. So I just tweaked them and made them completely different from each other. A lot of you guys are probably like, "Oh, you can't make them different." We'll see. I'm going to show you the differences here, and it's pretty extreme. If you're curious, this is what the character looks like with the filter on here. With the filter off. Okay, so what did I do for the tweaks? Well, original Bone Wolverine, he's still very fast. Another thing that stands out with the original Bone Wolverine, listen to the sounds he makes when he lands. Also, you can't hear his feet when he walks. Because that's Wolverine's shtick. Wolverine is very animalistic. That people just blatantly call him an animal. He has like a super sense of smell. He's a superb hunter. He's like the ultimate killer. But the most important thing about Wolverine is you don't hear him coming. Now, what did I do to Animanium Wolverine? Well, I tweaked the speed for his walk. As you can see here, he walks a lot slower than the Bone Claw, which makes sense because Adamantium Wolverine is multiples heavier than the Bone Claw Wolverine. People don't know that. His Adamantium skeleton, Adamantium is freaking metal, dude. He's so dense. He's like the weight of a freaking motorcycle. Oh yeah, the sounds. Listen to his feet. Hear the land? Makes so much sense to me. Adamantium Wolverine should be heavier. He should be a lot more weighty. He can still sneak around, sure, but when he does his regular walking, you can hear him thud on the ground. It makes perfect sense. Made a lot of speed tweaks to both of these characters too. Bone Wolverine is pretty much the same as the default in regards to speed. He's brutally fast. Default MVC2 Wolverine has always been one of the fastest characters in the game, so there's no reason for me to tweak his speed. But as you can see for Animanium Wolverine, he's a lot slower, man. Like just everything about him is much slower. For the attacks, hear the sound of the claws. See if I can get. There we go. So for Adamantium Wolverine, his claw swipes sound a lot more dense, more heavy, more vicious. But for original Bone Claw, his it sounds like just like claws swiping the air. They don't sound like industrial metal swinging and slicing through the air. Thought that was a brilliant change there. The hit sounds too. As you can see, Adamantium Wolverine has a heavier thud to the sounds of his claws impacting with his opponent because he's a lot stronger. I also tweaked his defense and attack too. If you want like a hard hitting character, you're gonna play with Adamantium Wolverine. If you want a fast character, you play with Bone Claw now. But these characters aren't even alike anymore. Even just looking at their idols, the speed of their idols, and the slight animations I made to them, they're completely different characters now. What else? There's a lot to go through, dude. Let's do waiting. So for the waiting for specific characters, well, since I'm here on the character select screen, here's a simple tweak I made. I made Venom black. Default MVC2 Venom is like a baby blue. He's like the same blue as Captain America, which is it looks horrible. There's no iteration of Venom that's blue, well, light blue. Literally every version of Venom has been black, if not highlighted with the color dark blue. But Venom's supposed to be black. Just take my word for it. But as you can see, the colors have been tweaked. Another thing is Rogue. Rogue's default colors were horrible. I don't know what they were shooting for with originally when they colored Rogue for MVC2. She was like I think she was green and white actually. See, that tells you how bad it is. I can't even remember it. But this version, the iconic green, yellow, and brown scheme for Rogue, this is like it's a no-brainer, dude. So I tweaked her, and as you can see here, she has her classic cool colors. But those are just a couple examples of color tweaks I've made. There's a lot more that I did, but I don't have to cover it all. What's another tweak? Oh, waiting. Let's just do a couple of characters here. I want to do some hard hitting, some powerful characters, just to give you the best examples of my waiting. We're gonna do Hulk and Juggernaut. So for Juggernaut, no, let's do Hulk first. For Hulk, you can hear his feet as he steps. Very simple, right? But he's got very loud thudding sounds when he walks. Simple tweak, but look how amazing it is. Sound of his jump, very heavy, just very loud thudding character. And as you can see for his jump, he has a little bit of screen shake. For his land, he shakes the screen. Now Juggernaut. So Juggernaut's stick. Juggernaut's a more solid. He's a heavier, more solid character than the Hulk. Juggernaut by no means is stronger than the Hulk, but you can't stop Juggernaut. Juggernaut's thing is he's very huge, he's lumbering, and he's very dense. When I say he's dense, Juggernaut is the character that can walk through anything. His power is when he gets momentum, you can't stop him. So because of that, he's supposed to be the heaviest character to ever exist in Marvel. Listen to my Juggernaut move. Tell me that isn't perfect. You can't. And if you tell me this isn't perfect, you're dumb and I hate your face and your opinion doesn't matter because I know what I'm doing here. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. Besides the people with the stupid faces out there who don't agree, this waiting for the characters is just it's like you feel powerful and you feel like you're playing with the characters you're meant to play with. By the way, I tweaked Juggernaut too. He doesn't have that glitch that most pro players use for him. It's gone. So I had to tweak his stats to make him top tier again. It's a long story, but Juggernaut's no pushover anymore. Hopefully you agree with my tweaks, man. Hopefully my sound settings are proper too, so you can hear all of the sounds the characters are making there. Okay, what else could I talk about? Let's do a couple mechanical characters here. I did tweaks to my all of my robot or mechanical characters to make them sound and act like machines. This will be a good example. Pretty much Iron Man and War Machine gives me an opportunity to compare them too. So specifically for both of the characters, actually, I reweighted the characters so they sound a lot heavier. You can hear their feet steps now because they're freaking metal dudes. You have to hear their feet steps or footsteps, as you can hear there. Oh, also when they do any extreme or strenuous movement, you can actually hear the gears and mechanisms as they turn inside of the character. Just listen to Iron Man move. You get the gist. The difference between Iron Man and War Machine is more of a tank, so War Machine can take a lot more shots than Iron Man now. And also, War Machine hits harder. He hits harder than Iron Man. I'm not sure why they designed them backwards, and they somehow made War Machine garbage. War Machine's like weaker than Iron Man in MVC2, which is horrifying and stupid because War Machine's whole shtick is he's the vanguard or the he's essentially the shield for Iron Man during fights. The main differences between pretty much my default vanilla Iron Man and War Machine, the tweaks I made, is that pretty much that War Machine has more defense, and he moves slower too. Of course, he moves slower, but he has more defense and he hits harder than Iron Man does. As you can see there, his movement speed. So yeah, War Machine's a lot slower than Iron Man, pretty much. And except he hits harder. He's slower, but he hits harder. To me, that just makes sense for War Machine. I don't understand why they had him flipped. They make a lot of mistakes in the MVC2 that people ignore. It kind of bothers me a little bit. But that's besides the point. Those are some of the sound tweaks I made for both of these characters. Hopefully you can hear it. Kind of concerned about that. Hopefully my settings are right. Dude, there's just a whole gambit of things that I've tweaked and I've added in here. I can't possibly cover everything. I'm gonna end the video. There's so many things I could do here though. I'll show a couple more. I'm gonna do let's do Colossus and Magneto. Before I shut this down, upload the video. I gotta go to sleep. I got school in the morning. Yeah, no, not grade school. I'm not a child. So freaking the tweaks I made for these two. So for Colossus, Colossus has had the works, man. He's got a new blinking animation. He's not an organic character, but he is a living character. He's made of organic metal, so technically he is a organic character. But he's got an animated crouch. As you can see there, if you look at his arms, he's got like muscle flexing. It's fully animated. He's got a new mouth animation that I added to him. Like he looks awesome, dude. And what else? His waiting. Yeah, he's got new sounds. Because again, like Iron Man and War Machine, Colossus, he may not be a robot, but Colossus is a metal dude. You have to hear his footsteps, man. So he seems a lot more weighty. He's a lot more powerful seeming. When you play with him, you can really feel like how strong and cool Colossus is. For Magneto, Magneto has animation tweaks. I didn't know his cape was sitting on a different animation, a different sprite set. So I had to find the sprites for his cape to add in proper physics. But now he has more physics added to his cape. As you can see there, it's just a very minute physics drop animation for the initial start. Dude, it's so cool. It's so cool, dude. Just that little animation added on to Magneto makes him like just so monumentally different. His crouch, he's got a fully animated crouch now, which I'm pretty sure I showcased the entire video of me just making this crouch for him. He's just like Magneto is so cool now, dude. Those are literally the only tweaks that Magneto needed. I made some other tweaks, of course, animation and what combat wise, but you get what I'm saying. Those tweaks, man, these little tweaks, so insane, dude. Magneto's so cool now. These are just a couple of examples of pretty random tweaks, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. I'm going through this entire roster and modifying characters, man. Think the physics. I don't know which characters I showcased. I'm going to use Psylocke for this example. Let's do Rogue. Psylocke and Rogue are my favorite Marvel girls. Rogue is the hottest character in Marvel, and Psylocke is just cool. Dude, look at all the physics I added to both of these characters. Their hair, their boobs, their thighs. Like, they got a lot going on. Look at Psylocke, dude. She's just bouncing everywhere, dude. See Psylocke's legs when she crouches? See the physics on the legs? See the physics on her idol for her stance? Specifically on the thighs. That's the recent tweaks that I made. The same applies to Rogue. Rogue's got a little bit of jiggle. You can see it. She's got a little bit of leg jiggle. It's crazy, man. It's barely noticeable. I try to keep it very minute because unfortunately with 2D fighting games, specifically with female characters, breast move. You have to add physics to breast, but you don't want to do it to an extent where it's distracting because unfortunately it's breast. Like who doesn't love breast? And when they move, you notice it. So I had to make it as limited as possible, and I had to do it. I tried to do it in a manner so that it's super small. So this is minute to a point where it doesn't distract. Hopefully I pulled it off here. I've always hated that though. 3D games, 2D games, like people don't want to acknowledge that breast move. These two characters clearly don't wear bras. You're not gonna convince me there's a bra under these boob socks that they're wearing. They're letting it out. And it's just amazing, dude. This is how you make a game timeless, folks. Just add physics everywhere. Spill aside, man, I could go into a million other tweaks that I've made recently. But you get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. You guys, again, none of you have to jump on board. I'm gonna post this on Rumble first, and then I'll throw the scraps to YouTube. But just keep in mind, I'm on Rumble now, and most of my content will be on Rumble. I don't want any of you guys' attention, so you don't have to come over to Rumble to see my content. You can stay on YouTube. I'll still be throwing major stuff over on YouTube every once in a while. And yeah, this is my project, man. As you can see, I'm getting it done. I don't need anyone's input or opinion. If you guys rock with me, I rock with you. It's pretty much it. God bless.